Hi, this is Cherry Bruns. Today I'm going to do a video on how to create these do-it-yourself trays that I use to hold the ink spots that come with my paper pumpkin kit. And I can hold securely up to 48 ink spots in a paper pumpkin box and carefully tuck it away and turn it upside down for storage, and it doesn't move around. And I find these things to be very handy and very easy to get at. You know, to remove one and then put one back, and I can pull them out and easily access the bottom layer. So let's get started. So I use the leftover chipboard in my paper pumpkin kit, and I cut it down to size. In this case, I have a base that's 5.5 by 8 1/4, two long sides that are 5.5 by 3/4, and then two short sides that are 5 5/8 by 3/4. So basically it's just an eighth longer on the sides than it is than the width of the base. For this demonstration I'm going to use painter's tape. However, normally when I construct these boxes I use the packing tape. It's just that it doesn't show up very well on film. Okay, so let's get started. And I'm going to start off with the two long sides, doing one long side at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape, and it just needs to be longer than the side I'm working with. And typically what I do is I just put half of the tape on the base and leave the other half, you know, for the side. Next, what I'll do is I'll take some scrap, it doesn't matter how long it is, and I will just use this as a spacer. And then I'll take the side and put it as close as possible. So I'm kind of squeezing this way and making sure that it lines up with my edge of my base. And then I'll go ahead and kind of put that down before I pull out the spacer. Once I pull out the spacer, I can trim off any excess, and I typically just do that with a quick swipe of the X-Acto knife. You can do it any way you want. I'm going to do basically the same thing to the other side. I'll take my piece, you know, put about half of it underneath the base and half of it on top. Use my spacer to allow that gap, because when I flip up the side I need a little bit of a space so that it flips up nice and securely. Take my long side and again kind of push it against that spacer, so I'm leaving just only the width of the spacer and not anything additional. And then I'll push it down, remove the spacer, trim off the excess. Okay. Now that's done, we're going to do a similar process on the sides. So I'm taking my tape, putting about half under the box, you know, making sure it's secure, using the same spacer. Now this time, because this board is 1/8 of an inch longer, what I'm really going to align it to is make sure that it actually sticks out and covers this gap. You know, it's not a precise measurement, you know, but you want it to hang out that 1/16 of an inch, and I'm going to, excuse me, but you're going to see my head for a little while. Yep. So that basically this is sticking out, overlapping or sticking out 1/16 of an inch on each side. And then I secure that down, and basically I'm going to cut off any excess using my X-Acto knife, and that even includes any excess that might show up since these sides are really skinny around there. So any kind of process that's going to cause it to overlap. And then I'm going to repeat again on the other side as soon as I get this piece of tape from sticking from my finger. Lay my tape down, half on, half off. Apply my spacer. And then align, pushing the short edge, aligning it against the spacer. Excuse my head. trim off any excess. I like using tape rather than glue just because it's quicker, eliminates the mess. I don't have to really worry about holding the box, and I find that for the weight that I'm putting in it, at least the packing tape would hold, you know, sufficiently. I've never really had any issues with the packing tape breaking. Okay, so now I have the basic construction of the box, and what I need to do is I need to start to tackle the corners. And basically what I do is I pull up the sides so that the sides are really sitting next to the base, not really on the base. And what you'll find is that the short end in this case I will butt the long end up against the short end. So that's how we're going to make our corners, is the long end will butt in the short end. Again, I take my tape, and now what I'm doing is I'm going for each corner at a time. I just take, and it's usually about 2 inches of tape. This might be a little bit longer. I make sure that I have a nice square corner and then wrap it. And then I go in with my scissors that I don't have handy, so excuse me for a second. And I just do a little V cut just to kind of get the excess out, and I wrap it around the corner, and I wrap it around the corner. And there's my first nice edge. I repeat that process again. So again, I just butt the long end into the short end, so you can see the edge of the short end is sticking around right there. Take my 2 or so inches of tape, actually it's probably 4 inches because it's, I'd say, 1.5 inches to 2 inches there. Make my little V, and then just, you know, like wrapping a gift. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So I'm going to do this quickly just so you can see the final result. Just making sure to nicely wrap the edges so it's a nice square corner. Making the V. Last one. And if you find out your edges are not quite matching up, it probably means one's sitting on top of the board and not beside the board. So you can make slight adjustments there. Again, wrap the corner. Do the V-notch. And lo and behold, that's the tray that I use to go ahead and hold my ink spots. And they'll hold 4 nicely. And then you can also have 6 along the row side, so it'll look something like that when using the clear tape. I use these for a multitude of purposes, not just for the Stampin' Spots. I'll do a quick show of you know, how I use a tray to hold my ribbons. And then I have several trays that in a big drawer, but it just makes it nice and neat. The ribbons don't jostle all the way around, and I can size it to whatever dimension that I need. So hopefully you found this to be useful. You can adjust this for many different sizes of trays. You can adjust the height of the tray, as I've done for the ribbon holder. You can adjust you know, the size of your base. The thing that you just need to remember is when you're cutting is make one side 1/8 of an inch longer than one of your dimensions on the base. So in this case I took the short side, which was 5.5, and added the 1/8 inch to the side so that I would have a corner that would kind of finish up nicely. So hopefully you found this helpful. Thanks. Bye.